What's up, mobile gamers? It's Johns or Gigs back with another tier list for you. The first one of Super Season 4. As you guys know, I usually do my tier list like at the end of the season, and I do one for all of the classes, right? So this is the flanker tier list. This is what we're going to do here. And the reason I'm doing it so early, I guess, early, in quotations, because kind of depends what you guys feel is early. I try to do it after the mid-season patch, and this is the tier list that had like no changes to any of the heroes during the mid-season. Nothing that would change any of the tiers in the start of the season either. I mean, maybe a little bit because Cosmo got like a damage buff, but overall, I think this one hasn't changed too much. And my hand is still recuperating, so I can't really play very many matches. So I can only do like maybe one gameplay video this week, and hopefully we'll be able to do a little bit more next week. I am going to go ahead and change. I always forget. Honestly, if you guys care about the colors, let me know. I try to keep it so it's not just like they're all gray or whatever. I try to keep it so they're, different colors for each tier. And I think the one that we're going to start out with is the most disappointing flanker, and that's Vincent. Every time I talk to you guys, right, I'm always telling you, hey, these are my thoughts, and every tier list is made for the average player. So you're not necessarily going to find my tier list to be as helpful as some of those other YouTubers who do like crazy high end tier lists where they're like, oh my God, this hero's broken. You see them in every single um, game in Masters and all the way up to the top ranks. They're always in the top rank games. So maybe you could say that that's why he's really low, because I do it for the average player, and I'm not super competitive. I haven't even played ranked this season. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. Yes, I do recognize some of these heroes are pretty broken in that top tier of heroes when you're in those really high level ranked games or pro matches. And I just think that's not really helpful for the majority of the people that watch my videos and the majority of people that play T3. They're going to pick up a hero and they're going to be like, okay, who's really good, who's easy to learn, who's the most fun. Those kinds of things are what they're really going to think about. And even I would say your average player is going to care more about like, does y'all look really cool, or do I think Aletta is maybe cuter, or she's got better skins and stuff like that. So I think the average player doesn't really think too much about like how great a hero is at the top level of gameplay and with the best players using that hero. And for a lot of you guys that maybe are thinking about those things when you're looking at a hero, you got to understand that if somebody is insanely cracked with Aletta and you pick her up and you don't immediately play her at that level, that may be disappointing for you, and it may discourage you from playing that hero. And I just want to say, forget everybody who says a hero's top tier. Try them out in the testing range and see who's most fun. Really, that's all that matters, is that you're having fun in the game. So don't worry about who's better, who's not. Honestly, if you really don't care about my opinions, just play whoever you have fun with and ignore the tier list. I'll mention that before we get into some of the harder picks here, because Vincent's trash. That's just how it is. He's unobtainable for most people. If you're going to use the arcade, you get Lassia. Even with the nerfs, she's still the better arcade hero. Even if you're at the top level of play, she's still the better hero. There's no incentive to get Vincent at all, except for if you like really want to style on people and try to get those sword kills, which are very difficult to get. Um, and the bots, for some reason, know exactly where you are. So if you want to play him in like a bot match where the enemy's bots and stuff like that, it's very, very difficult, especially in 3v3 mode. They always know where you are. You cloak, and they literally will all just flock to you and follow you when you're invisible. So, um, I just think he's not that good, especially when you compare like the amount of utility that these other characters have. Even the lower tier ones you're going to see in a sec, they just offer more than he does. I think this is your only B tier flanker. Um, Probably controversial, not because of Johnny himself, but because I think a lot of people would like to put these other these last remaining 5 into B tier, but I just think that's not the case. Johnny is so much fun. I love him. He's probably the funnest flanker, the most fun you can have in a flanker right here. It's Johnny. The only problem is he doesn't heal at all in his little puddles. He does have a healing ultimate, but it's his second ult, so you have to win 90 games in order to get it, and it's still not even that good because it doesn't do a lot of damage, but it does give you full ammo, and I think you can have the whole team in there, which is not always the best idea, but you can put like 3 or 4 people in there and then come back out and they all have full health. So that's nice, but it's not really conducive to his kit. You don't want to use that ultimate if you're playing Johnny to his strengths, which is, jumping around the battlefield. And then you look at, okay, so his strength is hiding, right? But you can only have one puddle out at once, like only one puddle. Biggest mistake they ever made. He's trash now because all you have to do is he jumps and you just you can either ignore him because he's not going to get any of his health back, or you can shoot with half the cast of T3. Half the heroes have something that will either reveal him completely so you can see him, or do damage to him with splash damage. So half the roster can easily counter Johnny, and it's just kind of unfair. And then if you're thinking, oh, well, he can just jump away again. Well, he jumps, and it's the same thing. You can just look where he jumps, and he's easy to find. Now, there are certain times where if you jump around a corner and keep going, so you're not actually in the puddle, sometimes they'll shoot it, but you're not really going to use that too much. The drone doesn't do much damage. He got a buff where not really a buff, it's like a buff nerf type deal where it's kind of like a slice of, not slice of life, quality of life, there we go. Quality of life change where he does less damage per shot, but those shots charge up his bar faster when he's shooting multiple targets and faster in general. So you get those big damage numbers at the end when it fully charges that bar, which is nice, but it's very difficult to one-shot anybody. He just doesn't, he's not good at anything. Like, yeah, he's decent, he's fun. He's just not good. The only thing that's keeping him in B tier right now is the fact that you can heal other people and refresh their ammo when they jump into your second ultimate. I think that's the only reason he's in B tier. Otherwise, he'd be in C. It sucks, especially even just look at who you have in the flankers. The only one that can't reveal him immediately by just shooting into the area would be Yaw. And even then, I'd argue that the buff to her bullets allows her to shoot into there. And if you spend a full mag and you strategically place your shots, you still have a good chance of revealing him and hitting him. So he's just bad. B for bad. That's unfortunately how it is. He'd be way lower in a full roster tier list, which I am going to do this season. I'm going to do a full roster tier list so you guys can see how everybody stacks up. A tier. I mean, this is crazy. I can't believe we're just going straight into A tier. I think this is going to freak some people out, right? Aletta is going to stay in A tier. The average player who's on a phone is going to have trouble formatting their controls or using the motion controls that they have. They buffed her damage a season or half a season ago, or however the timetable works out. And it's just kind of not there. It's not what you want it to be. Her second ultimate, they changed it and nerfed it, so now it's terrible. Her first ultimate is not very good because it doesn't heal anymore. If you do not play Aletta exactly right, she will die. But if you play Aletta even halfway decent, she is very good. And I think that she's a good pick, probably the halfway point in these flankers. This is like, she's a good choice for the average player. You might have to put a little bit of time into getting good with her, but obviously you guys know, PC players especially, but anybody that's in the high ranks will play Aletta and just style on everybody. She's so hard to kill when there's a good player involved, and I can see why people would say she's S tier. But then again, you look at somebody who doesn't really have too much of an ability to heal, and yes, she's hard to hit, but if you hit her, she's dead. And I think that the other heroes that we have left have better defensive options when it comes to flankers, and she doesn't really quite have that range that the other heroes do, save for Diggy, of course. But that's obvious. Like, she's got a shotgun. I mean, if you expect range with a shotgun, you just play a different game. Um, I really want to do another one of these guys before we get to the one I know everybody's thinking about. So just hold your horses real quick, put them back in the stable, all right? We're, I think we're going to go ahead and look at Shell being in the A tier. I'd say she's better than Aletta for the average player. And I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, oh, that's insane. You know, how dare you? The problem with Shell is that her second ability is worthless. Her first ability, it does give you invincibility and you can move around, but we've seen how easy it is to just wait for the Shell to come out of her ability, come out of that invincibility. And a lot of heroes just, they have something to deal with Aletta now. And the same goes for Shell. There's a lot of people that can slow her down, and it's very difficult to have that high damage as Shell with all of these insane tanks and one-shot heroes. But she's very, very good. The invincibility is awesome. Her weapon does a lot of damage. The ability to escape, whether you're using the first ultimate or the second ultimate to push them into the air and then leave, all of those tools, she's very good at getting away. I wouldn't necessarily say she's the best at, using those abilities to be close up in your face and turn the tide of a fight. But I have seen times where a good Shell can turn everything around. So overall, her and Aletta are they're both very, very good, and a lot of people would say that she's S tier. And the only reason, all right, the only reason she's not S tier is because of my boy Cosma, dude. Cosma's the best flanker now. He already was very close to being really good, and I think you are seeing a lot more people choose him because there's a very big tank meta right now, but there's also a meta of these one-shot heroes, and if you time it right, you can use his flight ability to get away from a few shots and fire. And before, you'd fire and it wouldn't, like, you'd do some damage, but it would take 3 or 4 shots to kill somebody. Now you can kill somebody in at least 3 shots. I'd say 3 shots, you pretty much got it. He had a damage buff, right? And so now if you hit directly, if that shot hits directly, it does more damage, and the splash radius of his shots does more damage as well. So you're going to benefit more from picking off people from corners or using that splash damage to really do well with Cosma. So I think that his damage makes up for the fact that he's very stuck in the air. I would say don't use him planning to be in the air a lot of the time. Use it to maneuver and position yourself. Use the jump to kind of just jump away from the first shot and then land. Or if you can use the jump and come out from behind a corner or into a corner, that can help you as well. So Cosma's insane now. Me personally, I would say I'm still better with Shell and probably maybe Johnny, but that just depends on the day. I think I'm better with Shell for sure just because I'm used to her more. But Cosma is one of those heroes no one really expects you to be good with Cosma, and they haven't really realized how crazy he is yet because a lot of people are like, oh, it's just a Cosma. He's not a big deal. And then he two-shots you when you're playing any of these heroes or sometimes even a damage hero. So one to look out for, one to think about. I think a lot of people overlook him, and that's why he's S tier is because he's very sneaky. You know what I mean? If you look away long enough, he's going to kill you. If you do not focus him, he will not only kill you, but more than likely your healer. He'll do damage to the tank. And 2 shots from Cosma is a way bigger deal than it used to be. Because before he'd shoot you and you'd have time as a flanker to look at him, shoot him, or look at him, go over to where he is, and then shoot him, and he won't be able to kill you. But now, if you ignore the Kazuma, he will wreak havoc on your team. So that's what you need to do as a Kazuma, is basically time it so they forget you're even there. So maybe you hide behind a wall, you peek out and you shoot, and then you go somewhere else. And you just wait for a little bit, you wait for a little bit, and then boom, you pop out again from a weird angle where they're just not expecting you. The hit and run is what you need to do with Cosma, and I think a lot of people are having a hard time because they're so used to ignoring him that they're like, "What? How? What? I just died to a Cosma. How does he do this much damage? This is crazy." So, um, just the fact that he used to be bad and now he's decent puts him into S tier because of the way the community views him. So, for those of you that are like, Cosmo's not that good, I don't have a problem with him. That's probably because you're focusing on him. If you focus a Cosma, he's so easy to shut down. He really, really is. Um, and that brings us to the other heroes, right? This is going to make a lot of people mad, right? The average player is not going to counter Yaw's shield correctly, because that's the main thing that people say to me when they're like, there's no way Yaw is very good at all. There's no way Yaw is S tier. And what I say to that is shield. Like, I I don't know how many times I have been playing Yaw, and you go up to the guy that's the best in the match, right? He's playing like Gloria or something. You shoot him, he turns around, and then you just pop that shield in like mid magazine, right? And he's going to kill himself. I don't know how many times I have just literally come up on somebody, shield, they kill themselves, and I just walk away. They also buffed, not the mid-season, but the last patch, which would have been the start of the season. They buffed her damage for her dashes as well as her ultimate, like the way the ultimate works. They buffed that. So she does a little bit more damage, which is nice. And a lot of people underestimate Ya because they think that you're supposed to be able to do what you can do with literally every other flanker, and that is just absolutely style on people. And the truth is, that's not what she's for. She is an annoyance flanker, much like Aletta. You should be dashing and using the shield to run around and create havoc. And then, this is the biggest thing because most people don't think about this. She's the executioner, right? If you have damage dealers or snipers or even tanks, right? They're going to get somebody low, and the Jabali comes in with the shield and blocks them, or the Tigger comes in and blocks them with the shield or dashes at your tank, and that healer is still alive or that damage dealer is still alive. The Yaw is supposed to look out for anybody that gets low enough for her to dash at them, dash and execute them, and then leave. That is what she's for. She's for taking out the main damage dealer on the team, whether it's with the shield or with the execution dash, and getting out. And that's what she's for. A lot of people, they really underestimate. Yaw is like the kill stealing machine. That is what you want to use her for, because a lot of people will overlook her, and some people would say that the shield's very easy to counter. But if you are playing smart and you don't pop the shield right away, sometimes people will stop shooting because they expect the shield and stuff like that. So she's very, very good. Please try her. You really have to get a different mindset when you're playing Yaw compared to any of the other flankers. And she is, I will tell you, she's very difficult to play for the average player. Those healers, man, they don't stand a chance. Gatlin's, Damon's, Lassia, if you play it right. A lot of ultimates can be countered by the shield, where you just literally, like Osas is probably the best example. He pops his ult, and then you just stand there and pop your shield, and he kills himself because he can't stop his ultimate without just looking away. And if he does, execute him and dash. I mean, there it is. I can't really think of anything besides a better player that really counters Yaw completely. Like I said, the shield, you can sometimes shoot the feet or the head, but a smart Yaw will make it so you don't notice her until you're already dead and she dashes you. You really want to play around your team and with your team and use their damage to take out specific targets. And if your healer's really low and you see that she's being focused and you're like, oh my god, she's gonna die, dash to her, pop the shield, and even just if you don't get anybody, just reflecting the damage away, you can really save people a lot with that shield. So I think she's very much so a unselfish hero when it comes to how you want to play her and ways that she can be good. I think you're going to see that she's not as bad as a lot of people say she is and give her credit for, um, because she's just not as bad as people think she is. Um, I really like her too, right? Obviously, if this was like who do I like the most, I'd probably reorganize it because I do have certain flankers I like to play. And I would say Yaw is maybe kind of middle of the pack. And this last one, right? Because we will talk more about everybody and where they're placed and why they compare to other heroes. But the last one, I got to do it, right? I will admit I'm very biased with Diggy. I don't understand why people say she's bad. And, like literally, I pull out Diggy and style on whoever is in the match almost constantly. Um, I don't know. Maybe other people are better at countering her or something. For me personally, I've never seen a Diggy that was like B or C tier. I really haven't. Most people that play Diggy are pretty good with her. Um, I think she deserves to be in S tier. She can teleport across the map. Across the map, you guys. I don't think you understand how good this is. The only person that can teleport or move further than her faster is Osas with his second ultimate, which is literally a teleporter. Her teleport ability, I don't remember what it's called because I think it's called like submarine or something like that. Um, you can go up, you can go down, you can go into doorways, you can go onto ledges. I don't know if you guys have tried this ability when you're playing Royale Arena. It is insane. Think about how good that is when you pull up and you've got a Gloria and you can just teleport to somebody. I don't think you guys understand how great it is. Um, yes, you can see it. You can see it when she teleports. However, if you play it right, you can hide behind a wall or cover and teleport behind somebody or teleport to the side of them. And especially with the scoped in heroes, they won't know you're there until you've already got two shots in on them, and then they're dead unless they really are just, you know, they're insane and they just turn around and they're like, bam, headshot. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Um, she's not better than Kazuma for the average. Well, she's about where Kazuma is, really. I think you can do this. That's fine with me. I think Shell has more consistent damage than Ya. But Diggy, man. Oh, you guys, first off, she's like the hottest one in the game. I don't know how you don't have Diggy just to look at Diggy. Like that's how good I like her. She's insane. Some of the best skins in the game, in my personal opinion, at least. I do really love the Holy Beast skins, though. If you guys have seen those videos, best skins in the game. A lot of the like best design in the game. I really like her hair. It's kind of like Iris's hair a lot of the time, which I really already liked before. Um, and her kit is just so much fun. Like she is so much fun. She's what Johnny wishes he could be, right? This is her ability when she gets into her shark form. It heals her, like actually heals her, like what Johnny wishes he could do. You pop the shark form, and you're back to full by the time it ends, almost all the time. I mean, maybe if you have like that 50 and lower range, you might not get to full, but the movement speed is insane. The teleport is insane. Her damage is very good. I don't know. Maybe shoot towards the body, shoot a little bit lower than you usually are. If you're trying to get those headshots, that might be why. Um, and really get close. Like you need to be on top of them. The shark form actually does damage when you come up. Like when you transform from shark to human to Diggy, I don't know, whatever you call it, right? When you go out of your shark form into the human form, it actually does damage if you're close enough, which is really crazy. So there's a lot of times I literally teleport to somebody where I'm behind them, shark form up to them so that I'm literally on top of them. It does a little bit of damage. I get 1, 2, it reloads 3, 4, and they're dead. That's the bread and butter, right? The only time you're really going to notice anything different about her is if they counter the teleport. Like if they're ready and they see you're going to teleport and they're already ready to shoot you, and at that point, that's on you. That is on you as a Diggy player. You have to play smart, just like Kazuma. Uh, you can't just hit his ability right and just float there in the open. If you're just gonna float in the open and like miss all your shots, you're gonna die and you're gonna be like, man, Kazuma sucks. And I think a lot of people play Diggy incorrectly. She is that hit and run flanker, and you really want to just uh, make people focus you and just take out the snipers. Osas does have his jump, right? Damon has her jump, so there's definitely ways they can get away. But the snipers, they're almost always scoped in, and so you can take advantage of that. They're scoped in, you teleport, boom. You almost always have the jump if they don't see you. Um, if you find you're doing like very little damage and you're already looking down compared to where you were before, look back up and try to aim for that like head neck area. If you're aiming for the head, trying to get those headshots, either A, be right on top of them so you do get all those pellets, or B, if you find you're in that mid range and the headshots just aren't happening, come down just a little bit, all right? And really, you guys, you don't have to always kill your targets with these flankers. I know. I say it all the time. I'm like, if you get the jump on somebody, they're dead. Trust your team. Trust your team. I know I get the same teammates as you guys a lot of the time where they're just the worst teammates you've ever had. But a lot of the time, you can often go against somebody and they're a damage dealer or a healer, and you might not kill them and you have to retreat. Trust your team to take that kill and to get that kill and to secure it. Or secure the kills yourself. If you see that your Gloria gets somebody low, pop the teleport while she's focusing them and go at them because they're already focused on the Gloria or something like that and kill them like that. So you can really get that executioner vibe that you get from Yaw and use it when you're playing Diggy. I don't think you can really do that with Shell. And to be honest, I'm struggling, all right, because all these S and A tier heroes, all you have to do is like switch them around and you'll be like, yeah, that's fine. I feel like they're all interchangeable. Um, I do think Aletta is a little bit more difficult for the average player to learn, right? So do keep that in mind. Um, if you want to literally go like this, right, or you want to go like this or like this, I could care less, honestly. I think that all of these heroes are all A and they're all S, and there's not really, there's not really anything I can say that's like definitive, right? At the end of the day, if you are good with a hero, you can play them at an S tier level. And if you really like Kazuma and you're not letting go of that Kazuma pick, that's fine. That's totally fine. Play who you have fun with. Play who you enjoy. If you're really good with somebody and I'm like they're like C, like they're B tier or they're A tier or whatever, don't sweat it. Your average player, they're going to pick up these heroes. In terms of playability, I would say it's more like that. Diggy and Shell are very easy to learn. Yaw's a little bit trickier, and then you run into the Aletta Kazuma, where it's like they're very difficult to learn and hard to play well. Um, and I just think you look at Kazuma and Shell, and I think you just switch them most of the time once you get the hang of Kazuma because his damage is just better. Um, Yaw has a lot of that executioner potential where I feel like Aletta and Shell just don't. You know what I mean? Like you really can just kill somebody if you're playing Yaw. Um, and the worse somebody is, the better Yaw becomes because if they shoot you, and they're not familiar with her kit, or they shoot you and they don't know how to counteract that shield, especially with auto fire, a lot of them will just kill themselves without even being able to do anything about it, because auto fire, you're sitting here with Gloria, you've almost got the yard. She pops the shield. By the time you look away or stop, or like look away to stop the auto fire, or you aim at the head or the feet to get her, you're probably going to die, especially in a 5v5 match where you're already low. I mean, think about it, you guys. Unless the healer is just the best healer ever, most people are not running around full health all the time during a match. You'll be at half health, you'll be 3/4 of the way to full health, you'll be going towards a health pack. And I think that these three top heroes are able to take advantage of the health deficit that you're in and really capitalize on that gap that health brings. And you know the skill gap that might be, your damage dealer might be popping off, and just that little bit of damage that you can get as a flanker, and that execution style where you teleport to him as Diggy, or you use Shell, or you use Yaw's abilities to get there, or maybe you fly in with Cosma and do a shot. I feel like they can capitalize on that a lot. So securing the kill is very important, and if your team is really struggling to do that, you need to fill that role and do that for them. Really, really be focused on the flexibility of being the executioner of your team, or focus on distracting the opponents, especially those damage dealers and those snipers. Your main job as a flanker is to find the healer, take them out, and then go get the sniper. That is, or vice versa, sniper and then healer. Always your main job, because if you can cripple the team like that, even if they have a really good tank and a really good damage dealer, you take out your targets quickly, that is an instant 5 versus 3, and they're down 2 people, and they're the most integral parts of that team. They have no healer, so the tank is going to lose, going to go down if your team is decent. And they don't have a sniper, so your healer is not in a threatening area anymore. If your tank is not with your damage dealer, or vice versa, then the damage dealer is going to be an easy pick. Once that tank drops his shield, that sniper is going to be gunning for him. Like a Jabali drops his shield, sniper instant. Like that should be exactly what the sniper is doing. So this is a very role specific role, if that makes sense. Like, if you do not play these guys to their strengths, and you don't take into account who the best player on the team is, and what roles are your enemies trying to fulfill, where are they lacking, where are they strong, what matchup do you have? I mean, if you've got a Yaw versus an Osas, that might not be the best matchup, right? But if you got a Diggy versus an Osas, that's a good matchup. You know what I mean? So really think about that when you're playing flankers. That's why some of these flankers are higher, especially for your average player. I will do this personally. I think Cosmo's he's better than Yaw, and he's pretty close to better than Diggy. But the Diggy and the Shell are very easy to learn, but Yaw has better counterplay than Shell. Aletta is very difficult to learn, so I would say she's better than Yaw, but only if you learn her. So you really look, and Cosmo's damage speaks for itself, even if he's difficult to learn. And I just don't think that Aletta and Shell have enough going for them, because Shell is easier to learn than Yaw, but Yaw has the ability to turn fights way easier and do that executioner role better than Shell can, because you want to save the invincibility to get out. Aletta is way too hard to learn for me to say that she's better than Diggy, because the average player is going to see Diggy, so that, yeah, that's a hot chick and player, and she's easy to learn, and all you do is teleport or go shark form. And I just think that if you put time into any of these heroes, they're all going to be pretty good, except for Johnny. Vincent, you have to buy him, so he just doesn't count. And Johnny is so easy to counter, you guys. I promise you. Just sit in the training area with a friend, or honestly, if you want to join one of my matches, and you're like, "Hey, can you show me how to counter Johnny?" I'll I will gladly do that with you guys. Um, Probably not this week because I'm probably not going to be able to play very often, but um, he really is easy to counter, you guys. Real quick, right? Uh, Diggy, Shell, Kazuma, Ya, Aletta, they all counter Johnny. Vincent doesn't counter Johnny. Even a Johnny counters a Johnny. So this whole list counters Johnny immediately. So if you're really that worried about it, that's why he's down there. Because any player that's worth their salt is going to be like, oh, a Johnny, boom, dead. and and usually it'll be a Kazuma just because he's that AOE is so strong, that damage is just really right there now. I wouldn't be surprised if they nerf him. Uh, I think they can tighten the spread on Diggy's gun to make her more consistent because a lot of people would say Diggy's not S tier, she's B or A because of her inconsistent damage. And maybe it's just the way I play her. I haven't really noticed it. Um, and if you just take some time with the hero, you really don't need to be consistent even to get those snipers and to get those healers, especially if your team is playing and they're on point and they're actually focusing the right targets. So overall, I think I'm pretty good with this tier list. I know a lot of you guys are going to be upset, but I mean, on the bright side, Cosmo's not a worthless hero now. If you guys remember last tier list, he was C tier straight up. Like literally, he went from C to S just with how that little damage really helped him. Um, Especially with a sniper tank meta, the tanks can't reach you, and the snipers are not going to be able to react if you use the flight, not the hover, but the flight where you can control where you go. You know what I mean? Just in case you guys were curious. So that's the tier list for you guys. Sorry about my hand. I know you guys probably want to see gameplay, but we're gonna try to do some tier lists this week, especially because I need to get these out so I'm not dropping them all in the very last week of the season like I did last time. So let me know what you guys think. Do you want to see the damage dealers next or the healers? Uh, Really excited to do a full game tier list with everybody in it. We'll probably have to make that like a two-parter. Uh, yeah, let me know what you think. Diggy is the waifu, you know what I'm saying? And we will see ya in the next one.